Good morning. Don't mind me. I am on the struggle bus this morning. I did not want to get out of that bed, but we do have some coffee. Oh my goodness. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, I fear I'm getting ready to go down a rabbit hole to refresh my memory. Oh, Perez. I didn't see, but I saw it. Um, what am I looking for? Oh my God. Oh Lordy. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Just want to let all my OG 660s know. For those who started with me, we've reached that point we reach in every trial where it starts to get a little less just us watching the trial. And we welcome all of our new folks. Okay. So we might be making some new family, but sometimes when we get an influx, which I think since the trial has started, we've added almost 1,200 people. So I see some things going a little awry in the comments. But y'all know there's always that moment when I get weird requests, and those requests we've had allegedly Reddington's neighbor. Y'all know how it goes with these trials, and then other folks claiming to know Patrick, and folks are sending pictures of Patrick. Then I've got about 72 pictures of Patrick's shoes. Few things. One, while we know there are things that affect that will affect the folks that are in the trial, things that do not happen inside of court do not affect the jury. So, wherever it says Mrs. Jefferson says, we kind of try to stick to what has happened inside of the courtroom. Now, we know that other things will factor into it, but we kind of stay there. Now, Mrs. J says, well, like I'm going to have to start going live. Then we can talk about things that have not happened or were not for consumption by the jury. Because, baby, they try to do it. Y'all pretty much trying to do a citizen's arrest on Patrick. My God. I missed a lot of the melee because I took my last 2 meetings in the bed yesterday, okay? When I say I was so tired yesterday from getting up at 3:30. The next thing is, well, I'll have to say it to you guys, but you know how we handle things. So, all opinions welcome. Not what you say, is how you say it. But other than that, you know how you know things, like you've heard things about a case. We're going to move over to the Tupac case for a second. You know how you know things? Like you've heard the things, you've watched all the documentaries, you watched all the videos, you watched all the interviews, and then the name comes back up and you realize, oh shit. That person was everywhere. Baby, I wondered why Keefe D was just absolutely hell-bent on not taking this 10 to 25. It was fucking with me. Now, am I a Keefe D fan? Absolutely not. I detest him and his nephew for what they did. But we know that a lot of things happened with that, or for the folks that know, that a lot of things happened where things just were not moving for not only Tupac's unaliving, but Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, Notorious B.I.G., however you know him, for his unaliving. And we know that Miss Valletta Wallace, the mother of Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, her her lawsuits, many of which she won, had to do with possible police involvement, right? Now, it didn't really get a good backing to it until she did it. But she had to admit that there may be a correlation between her son's unaliving and Tupac's, not just because of the beef, right? On paper, all the Source magazine and XXL and how the East Coast West Coast was basically in print. Yeah, there was like 194 last time I checked last week. But I've been waiting on Keefe D to say, did he did it? Did he ordered it? Did he paid for it? Did he? Because he's always yelled that. But I watched Keefe D did an interview, y'all. Does anybody remember the name Reggie Wright Jr.? Oh, babe. Keefe D is claiming that Reggie Wright took out Tupac and Biggie. Like the mastermind behind it. Oh my God, Miss Jones. I said I forgot about that. I did. Cause he was out here running around like Denzel in Training Day. I didn't forget, but I forgot. You know what I mean? Once he said that name, I said, if not him, then who? He was the police officer, and his father was like real high up in the police, and he was running around. First, he was moonlighting as like security for all the clubs, and then he started running with one of the gangs. I want to say it was the Reds, but he started running with one of the gangs. Then he was exclusively the security, I want to say, for Death Row at some point. But was it Death Row? It was somebody he was exclusively with, but a lot of people felt like some of these the investigation stalled because the police were yanking threads out of the sweater. The sweater was falling apart, and we was left with nothing but a sports bra because yeah, it's been pulling strings. And then anytime that he got caught with something or allegedly caught with something, like the whole time a lot of people were screaming he was Alonzo, right? Like Denzel from Training Day. But nobody did anything to him, not only because he was a police officer, ran with police officers that operated the same way, but his father was a police. Now, we do know that Reggie Wright Jr. is one of the witnesses. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that interview because I'm trying to figure out who can. Do y'all remember the guy? He was the detective that was doing everything for the Biggie Smalls trial, and when he got back to LA to try to do all of this, they weren't helping him. He ended up pretty much being put off the police force because he would not stop. This man worked his way through jacking up his marriage. He lost his marriage, he lost his kids. And I want to say the day he actually gave up and walked back into the police station to just have a job because he had lost everything, his pension, everything. They told him he could not come back unless he let this case go. And he was doing everything. He was meeting with Biggie's mother. He had all the pieces and they kept leading back to Reggie Wright. And he walked into that police station, and the day he tried to go back to work and forget about that case, he had a heart attack and died. Baby, his documentary. That But he kept clipping back to Reggie Wright Jr. Baby, and every time he kept going in that direction, he was shut down to the point of losing everything. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. I haven't watched that in probably over a decade, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch it now. The way I went and watched Trap Lord Ross about this yellow beezy. Ooh, let me tell Mel. That's what I meant to tell Mel. Let me go find it. I know it's on. Well, okay. I forgot. I meant to send that to her yesterday. Destiny gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. I remember Gene Deal has done so many fucking interviews, but I remember Gene Deal saying something about Reggie Wright and about the police. I'm gonna have to go back there. There's so many interviews though. The only thing is, all these people, how can I say it? All these people for all these years have all been saying the same thing. The only thing was I'll say this: in 30 years, the information about Tupac's unaliving has not changed. The only thing that has changed is that when Diddy made an enemy of 50 Cent, 50 Cent got the right people to say it in that last documentary. That's not any information that we haven't heard from a source, some source, a few sources over the last few decades. But when 50 Cent convinced those people, it hit way different. It way different. It does.
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Well, good morning, counsel.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Clancy. All right. Before we bring the jury in, could I speak to counsel just for a couple of minutes?
Morning sidebar. I wasn't even a teenager when he passed. I just was such a big fan that I was one of those kids that my mom allowed me to collect the magazines so I could take, like, okay, I'm gonna call my mama. She might not do it this week because her birthday is Saturday, but also my bonus baby is turning 18 on Saturday. So we're gonna pray about that. But I'm gonna see if before this trial starts completely or before it ends with Tupac, if my mom can find the old pictures of me in my old bedroom. I'm sorry, JC. Wait, was I in middle school? I was in middle school, so I was almost a teen. I think I was in 6th grade. But I was such a Tupac fan that one wall, the wall directly in front of me was where my bedroom door was, and I had a very large, old school dresser with the big old mirror and all the drawers and shelves and stuff. So there was nothing on there. My right-hand wall was nothing but Tupac's individual pictures, whole wall, plastered, taped up, individual pictures. Behind me on that wall, behind my bed, so the wall that was available by my TV and stuff, that was all of Tupac's pictures with people, right? And then on the left-hand side, the wall sharing next to my closet was all of Tupac's modeling pictures. Do you hear me? Unless you did something with Tupac, you weren't on the walls in my room. So it was, Tupac and Bone. And that was one of my big ones because I'm from Ohio. And also Busy Bone used to get his hair braided at my uncle's shop. So I just thought I was boned out. Okay. Easy. Anybody who did anything with Tupac, Casey and JoJo, Michelle A, Yo-Yo, like all of that it had to be you had to have done something with Tupac, okay? There was no reason why I was looking at a man like that at my age. Now, don't get me wrong. Usher was in the mix, you know what I mean? But he wasn't on the wall. I had the magazines, but you had to be Tupac or with Tupac to go on the wall, okay? Now, my crush that tried to make me think I can run and break through the lines of security was Romeo from Immature, then IMX, and then whatever else they wanted to call themselves. Okay. I had a crush on Romeo. That's why I be feeling some type of way when people talk about Brandy, because I know what she did to her. You got a Tupac tattoo today, that baby. I almost wanted one. I think my cousin got one, and my mom was like, no, she can stay home because she knew I was going to try to get something. And I was nowhere near old enough to do anything. As far as a tattoo, it was like I cried. The sad part was him living. I think that's what messed my brain up. Him living for 7 days afterwards is what my mind just, he had been popped up before, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, he about to come back. And if y'all thought that he was mad the last time, I just thought a good song was coming to talk about everybody. Because, Tupac really didn't have, I wasn't old enough at that time to know about the way Ice Cube destroyed the rest of NWA when he left. I didn't learn that till I got older. And that's because, my older cousins was like, yeah, Tupac did it, but Cube did it first. I'm like, oh, okay. But when he said, first off, you kind of know somebody's about to read your ass. And so I thought this was going to spawn something worse than hit him up. So when he actually passed away, I was one of those people. Yes, I was a child, but up until I was grown, I was one of those people that believed in the Machiavelli theory that he lived 7 days, that he faked his death, and that he was over in Cuba somewhere. I was one of those people. That's why I don't rag to bag on people who have theories during trials, because I believe Tupac was still alive. Sorry. Talk about me all you want to. Lord, see, I thought he was coming back. You could, just because he was just he was larger than life. Listen, Shay, David Banner skipping through there like a pimp, during Like a Pimp, baby. And Lord, it didn't help for all those, Haley, all of us that thought he was coming back. It didn't help that he had more posthumous music than he had released, right? He had so much music and it just kept coming out and kept coming out and kept coming out. I said, he's writing this. There's no way. Ooh, excuse me. Just knew he was coming back. He was gonna get him, Mom. Mom was gonna get. He was gonna get him. Nobody lets me forget about all the people. Tiffany said something because I always make fun of Tiffany because we had to call Tiffany, Michael Jackson fan, that we had to call her, make sure she wasn't driving when they announced that he passed. And we did have to stop her and make her stay at my house. I had to take her home. She had lost it. Tiffany is having the time of her life. Anybody else's kids gone further in their Michael Jackson delirium? They left 6, 7 alone. And now my kids, when we went to go see Spider-Man, we listened to the Thriller album all the way up and Bad on the way back, okay? Dallas and Denver are performing. I can probably play the audio. He woke up singing Billie Jean the other day. I can't show you the video because he was comfortable, but I'm gonna have to play the audio so y'all can understand what we hear down the hall and across the house of Dallas singing Billie Jean at the top of his voice, okay? And as if the grab, the signature Michael move wasn't bad, Denver makes it look so vulgar because he can't get the pump going unless his legs are wide, okay? And he be trying. He's trying. They think they are moonwalking, both of them. And when they used to say 6, 7, now they saying Michael Jackson. Baby, I'll let them have it because I'm enjoying it. I can do that music.
Hey, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting.
That's why I'm gonna have to go look.
On the age of your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now in session. Please be seated.
Hear you.
Yes.
Honor, before the court today, we have the continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
All right. Well, good morning again. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for being here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you those questions again, and then go over the schedule. Forget you are not sitting this afternoon, okay? And that's not going to change, so you can count on that. So let me ask you at this point, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention? Great. Thank you again for following those instructions. And what we're going to do is we're going to return to the Commonwealth's case. And like I said, you're not going to be sitting this afternoon. The plan, and I'll double check when we get to that point, would be to return tomorrow at 9 o'clock and pretty much relatively full day tomorrow and probably Friday as well. But I'll double check as we go through that. All right. And I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Lying,
if
Nicole.
any changes to that schedule. So with that, I'm going to ask the Commonwealth to call their next witness. Commonwealth.
Thank you. The Colonel.
Okay, Tanya. These Tanya Harding bows are taking me out. While they're coming in, y'all, did y'all see somebody commented on our post on TikTok and said they have jury duty in Vegas on Monday? They wonder if it's a Tupac trial. Baby,
Stop right here.
get on in there. Get in there. Get in there so we can talk to you.
Watch your step, please.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I'll just ask you to speak into that microphone.
Sure.
All right. Attorney Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
My first name is Eitan, last name is Negri.
Can you spell your first name for the record?
Eitan.
And your last name.
Negri.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a physician associate, physician assistant.
And did you go to school for that?
Yes.
Can you tell us about your educational background?
I did my undergraduate at City College in New York, and I did a post-bac at Brooklyn College, followed by a PA program at Torrey University in Manhattan.
And do you currently work as a physician's assistant?
Yes.
And do you currently work in the state of Massachusetts?
No, ma'am.
Are you licensed in the state of Massachusetts?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you licensed in any other states?
New York State.
I'm going to go back to January of 2023. Were you working in Massachusetts then?
Yes.
And where were you working?
Brigham and Women's Hospital.
And were you in that same role as a physician's assistant?
Yes.
And what were you doing? What were your general duties in that role working at Brigham and Women's?
Generally, you assess a patient, you diagnose, you formulate a plan with an attending physician, and you execute that plan throughout the day. It encompasses various things.
Were you working in any particular department at Brigham and Women's back in January of 2023?
The trauma, burn, surgical ICU.
Now, I'm going to draw your attention to a particular patient that came into the Brigham and Women's Hospital on January 24th of 2023. That patient was Lindsay Clancy. Do you recall encountering this patient on January 25th of 2023?
Yes.
And what did you do as it pertained to the care and treatment of this patient?
I received the information from the shift before me, formulated a plan, examined her, assessed her, staffed that plan with the attending physician, and executed that plan throughout the day.
And fair to say this particular patient had injuries that you were directed to observe, review, form that plan on.
Correct.
What were the injuries?
She had multiple injuries. The most acute were injuries that were requiring consultation with other services, and the ones that I directly managed were the lacerations to her wrists and just her wrists, actually.
And as far as when you say she had other acute injuries, you were not involved in the care of her for those, correct?
I was involved in the care that involved consulting other services to manage those things, yes.
Okay, and as far as any sort of repair work that you were doing as a physician's assistant working with the trauma surgeons, what repair work were you assigned to do?
Laceration repair.
And on this particular patient, where were the injuries or lacerations that you were going to repair?
She had multiple lacerations on both of her wrists. She had superficial on her neck, which I did not repair.
Okay. And as it pertained to the wrists, did you go through that process of observing, reviewing, coming up with a plan, and then repairing those injuries?
Yes.
And were you directed to do that by any particular doctor?
Not necessarily directed. A lot of those things fall within my scope, and since they were less acute, they kind of fell down the chain to me.
Okay. And you're aware that she was being seen and treated by a host of other doctors, nurses, an entire team?
Yes.
As it pertains to the wrist injuries, what did you do to examine those areas?
The first thing I do is assess the location, then I assess the severity, whether it requires intervention by someone other than myself. In this instance, it did not. So then I proceed with just kind of protocol laceration repair.
When would it be a situation where you'd need somebody else to intervene?
If it required surgical intervention or suturing repair beyond my skill set, in this instance, it did not.
Okay. And so referring to these particular injuries, when you observed them, did you observe any areas of active bleeding?
No.
And fair to say they had been treated by nurses and other staff prior to you encountering these injuries, correct?
Yes, they were dressed and covered before I got there.
Now, when you assessed them, you noted that they were bilateral, correct?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means on both sides of the body, so both wrists.
Okay. And so referring to the right wrist, what were your observations of the injuries to the right wrist?
The right wrist, as far as my reference to the note, is that she had a few lacerations, one of which was severe and deep enough to require repair.
And fair to say that injury was, the one that you repaired was 3 centimeters deep.
Approximately, if that's what my note says, then that's what it was.
Okay. And on a wrist, or this area of the wrist where you observed the injuries, that depth of 3 centimeters, did that require further surgical intervention, or were you able to suture that area?
I was able to suture that area. As far as what happened subsequent to that, I wasn't there, so I'm not sure.
Okay. And how many sutures?
Real quick, by superficial, and I've asked a couple of people, by superficial means they did not cut a muscle, tendon, artery, vein, needing more than what he would have been able to give bedside, right? Unfortunately, in this trial, superficial has been made synonymous with, or has been standing beside, she faked it. So she cut deep enough to expose the fat, the meat was coming out, but she did not cut deep enough to hit muscle, tendon, vein, artery, bone. She didn't go that deep. So it wasn't so bad that he couldn't just do it right there at her bedside. But I learned from a nurse yesterday that that's why you would call it superficial, is because they didn't go deep enough. So no stitches type thing. There you go.
Did you use to repair that injury?
I believe 3.
And in relation to any other cuts or lacerations that were on that right wrist, did any other of those lacerations require
Ooh,
suturing?
Nicole, that's what some
How
folks
did you
are
treat
saying.
those other injuries?
Just irrigation, meaning cleaning them out, and then using a type of tape to close them shut.
And that's generally referred to as a steri strip, correct?
Correct.
May I approach the witness?
Me.
Showing you 2 photographs. Do those photographs depict the repairs or the sutures that you did on the right wrist of Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
I move to admit these as the next 2 exhibits.
All right, those may be admitted.
1 and 2. And I'm just going to show on the screen what's now been marked as Exhibit 201, and you should be able to see it, sir, on the screen in front of you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is the right wrist, correct?
Correct.
And those black lines in the middle of the photograph are those the sutures that you did.
Correct.
And just showing you 202, Exhibit 202. These white strips that are all around the injury, are those the steri strips?
Correct.
Now, on the left wrist, do you recall what you observed to be the injuries on that wrist?
I believe there was a similar laceration, just shorter in length, that required fewer sutures.
And fair to say, if your notes reflect that the left wrist had one, meaning just a singular 2 centimeter deep linear cut, that would have been what your observations were of the injury that you repaired?
Correct.
And how many sutures did that injury require?
1 suture.
And were there other areas that you observed that had some sort of laceration?
I believe similarly, just superficial ones that needed steri strips.
And again, in treating this particular injury, when you came upon it, was there active bleeding or any concern that you needed more intervention other than a suture?
At that time, no.
I'm going to show you 2 more photos. Are those familiar to you?
Yes.
And are those the suture that you did on the left wrist of Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, ma'am.
I move to admit these as the next 2 exhibits.
All right, that may be admitted, or they may be admitted. Thank you.
And now again, just showing what's been now marked as Exhibit 203. And you see the injury there on the wrist near the ruler in the photograph.
Yes.
And exhibit 204, which is just a closer up shot of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, you see the white strips. Those are also steri strips that were applied.
Correct.
Now, in relation to any of these wounds on the right or the left wrist, did you observe the lacerations to go any deeper than the subcutaneous tissue?
On my observation, no.
And when we talk subcutaneous tissue, we're talking about that fatty tissue on underneath your skin, correct?
Correct.
And did you have to return at any point, to your knowledge, to readdress these issues or do any further laceration repair as it pertained to this patient?
On that shift, no.
Do you recall if you did it on any other shift?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Reddington.
Is it Mr. Negri?
Agree, yes, sir.
And you're not a doctor, you're a physician assistant, is that what it is?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And how long had you worked for Brigham and Women's prior to seeing Lindsay Clancy that on January 24, 23?
I believe I was in my second year of employment with Brigham and Women's.
Okay, and you got to keep your voice up because people back here have to be able to hear you too,
I
okay?
believe I was in my second year of employment at Brigham and Women's.
You're not suggesting for 1 minute that after you did your butterfly stitches, Lindsay could have got up and walked out the door of the hospital, right?
No, sir.
And would you agree with me that, in fact, she was critically ill when you saw her, right?
Yes, sir.
And she certainly wasn't critically ill from COVID or a flu or something like that, right?
No, not to my knowledge.
You know that there are notes that are prepared for the records from the hospital. For example, on January 24, 2023, hospital admission form is filled out. Do you know a Dr. Jeffrey Andrew Anderson?
Yes.
And he was, what was his position that night?
He was one of the trauma surgeons and also one of the intensivists, the attending physicians in the ICU.
All right. And you've had a chance to review a number of records and photographs with the DAs, I imagine, right?
I've reviewed my own procedure note.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It means I reviewed the note that I wrote myself regarding the laceration repairs.
Okay, is that the note that indicates that it appears as though that, for example, on the right upper extremity, there's a 3.5 centimeter deep laceration on the volar aspect of the wrist?
I don't believe that I commented saying volar specifically, so I don't know if that's in regards to my note, but I believe my note did say about 3 centimeters deep, yes.
Okay, so do you recall indicating in your note that it was superficial laceration, or did you indicate that it was a deep laceration?
I indicated that some of them were superficial, and the one that I repaired in particular was 3 centimeters deep.
And you've had occasion to speak to the prosecutors on this case, and they've asked you about the superficial injury to her wrist, right?
Correct.
In addition to the, as indicated on page 75 of the Brigham and Women's Hospital record that I have, and we can fix that with other records if it doesn't coincide. There's a note from Dr. Anderson that the right upper extremity, 3.5 centimeter deep laceration, volar aspect of the wrist. Left upper extremity, 2 centimeter deep laceration on the volar aspect of the wrist. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you were able to, as you say, clean it up with saline or whatever, and then you stitched up what you had to stitch up, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you have anything to do with the massive transfusion that she had?
No, sir.
Do you have anything to do with the treatment of the transected spine that she had, the shattered spine?
No, sir.
Do you have anything whatsoever to do with the insertion of tubes on both sides of her body and the draining of the blood that had pooled in her middle cavity?
Just the management of those tubes after, but not the placement.
Okay. So you were there while that was done?
I was there managing once they had been placed, but I was not there for the placement of them.
Okay,
no.
but you knew that they were in there, that they were draining the blood? Okay.
Yes.
And do you know where the blood came from that was in her middle extremity?
I don't know specifically. I'd have to refer back to the
Okay.
imaging reports.
In any event, you know that shortly thereafter she coded, right?
Yes.
Were you there for that?
No, sir.
And basically, that means that the patient has, in effect, died from cardiac arrest, right?
Not necessarily died, but their heart has stopped beating for that
And then
portion of
there's
time,
the crash teams and everybody hopefully revives the person, right?
yes. Correct.
And you guys did that, or they did, and they were successful reviving her, correct? So without going through everything, you'd agree with me, sir, that your observations would be of the wrist, the repair, and the taking care of the tubes after they were inserted into both sides of her chest.
That's correct.
And that was your involvement extended, correct? You're all done after
I was
that.
involved in the ongoing management of her care throughout the day, but just as you stated, not the things that you asked me about.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
I'd offer these.
They're part of the record. I would object if we could approach.
I don't want to have a jury having to go through 10.
No, I know that. Listen, you want to mark them for identification, and then we can address that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I may just with a few questions.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Negri, I'm just going to approach and show you.
Hold on a second. Is that my? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Just show you a page from the records that's labeled Brigham and Women's, page 76. You can hold it in.
Specifically, this highlighted there?
Yeah, I would direct your attention to the bottom paragraph where it says exam. That's not your note from the record, correct?
Correct.
And when it's noted that the right upper extremity, left upper extremity has 3.5 centimeter deep laceration, 2 centimeter deep laceration, deep in the medical notes is not a adjective of it, correct? It's more of a directionality of the injury.
It's a description of, yeah, basically an objective unit of measure.
But when we say deep, it means that it goes down into the skin as opposed to across the
It doesn't matter
skin.
what we say, it's what the records say.
All right, I understand. Go ahead. Just, you could ask that question again.
As far as your assessment of injuries, deep goes down in the skin as opposed to across the skin.
Correct.
And as far as Dr. Anderson goes, you knew that him to be one of the attendings and a trauma surgeon in this case. Were you aware that on January 24th, he had examined these injuries and indicated they did not require repair at that time?
I don't recall specifically, I'm sorry.
But you came in to repair these on January 25th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything on that?
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. You're all set. Attorney Buckingham, please.
The Commonwealth would call Nicholas Roberts as its next witness, please.
Good morning, sir. Can you stop right there and raise your right hand for the clerk, please?
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may have a seat.
Won't you step, please?
Good morning, sir. All right, counsel.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name
It's Nicholas Roberts.
and where you currently work?
I work for a company called Thermo Fisher.
What is that? What do they do?
They sell plenty of laboratory-based products, including refrigeration. They sell solvents. They do instruments as well.
Prior to working for that company, did you work for the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab?
I did.
In what unit did you work for the crime lab?
I was in the toxicology unit
How long did you work for the crime lab?
for about 9 years.
And in working for the crime lab, what kind of training and experience did you have to work in the toxicology unit?
So prior to being hired, I have both a bachelor's and a master's degree in applied forensic science with a concentration in chemistry and toxicology. I also have the master's is in forensic toxicology. While being hired on the job, they provide training for all the in-house stuff that we test for, which includes not only a theory-based training, but also practical stuff so that you can analyze and run all the tests that we do in-house.
And as far as your work in the toxicology unit, fair to say in January of 2023 or February of 2023, you were what's referred to as a forensic scientist too, correct?
Yes.
And throughout your time at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab, did you have to undergo competency tests and proficiency tests?
Yes.
And why is that? Why do you have to do that?
So mainly it's to
I know
Hold
the
on,
gentleman,
we
he's
get to go
qualified.
hold on. One at a time. Good. Is there
I'm just saying,
objection?
I know he's qualified, and I have no problem with his credentials and his testimony.
All right. Counsel?
Thank you. Sir, in working at the State Police Crime Lab, did you just work in the toxicology unit or did you work in any other units in your time there?
no, only in toxicology.
Okay. Now, as it pertains to the toxicology unit, fair to say the State Police Crime Lab has a specific set of protocols and procedures that are followed in every case.
Yes.
And at that time in February of 2023, was the State Police Crime Lab using the batch review process?
Yes.
And so when the state police use this process, there are a number of different technicians or forensic scientists that work on any given case. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And at the end of it, one analyst is responsible for reviewing all the data and authoring a report.
Yes.
And based on your training and experience, if you're that person reviewing the data and authoring the report, do you have the ability to interpret some of the data in the report?
Yes.
Or data in the testing, I should say.
Yes, we review all the data that is provided within the case file.
And did you, during your time at the crime lab in the toxicology unit, stay up to date on various types of drugs and quantifications of those drugs and what that could mean for levels in a person's blood or urine?
Yes, they keep us up to date on drugs that are commonly used.
So one of the roles in the toxicology unit is for you to report whether substances are detected in blood and urine. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And at some points, are you also called upon to interpret the levels of those drugs?
So in blood, we report values. So we get concentrations of the different drugs and we mainly report them in blood.
Okay. And as far as the concentration levels themselves, did you have training and experience on interpreting those levels?
We usually get training on the effects of the drugs. It's hard to say with some drugs, as well as some people, what one level might mean for one person. It might differ, and you have different effects on another.
Okay, and fair to say that's a limitation of just reviewing blood and not knowing anything else about a case, right?
Yes.
At the toxicology unit, at the crime lab, is there a limitation as to how or what types of drugs can actually be quantified or given concentration levels?
Yes, we only quantify certain drugs.
And what happens if there are other drugs present and there's a request for quantification or concentration levels? What does your lab do with that?
Usually they're sent out to another lab in order for testing.
And are you familiar with the NMS lab?
Yes.
Is that, or was that at that time, a common lab that would be sent drugs that you could not quantify in your lab?
Yes.
I'm going to direct your attention to the lab number of 23-01, 01723. It's a case that you were the reporting analyst on, correct?
Yes.
And fair to say that there were several items that were submitted to the toxicology unit as specimens,
Yes.
including blood, plasma, and urine.
Yes.
And did you work with other members of the toxicology unit to have those specimens screened and then further tested?
Yes, the batch process was followed.
And as far as any screening tests, did you yourself do any screening tests on these items?
Yes,
What screening test did you do?
the screening for the alcohol.
And was there any alcohol present?
No.
And in this screening for alcohol, does it just tell you whether it was detected or not detected?
Yes,
And so when you don't have a result, there's nothing further to do.
correct.
Now, as far as the blood that was tested in this case, in the urine, you were aware that there were screening tests done for what's called the ELISA screen, benzodiazepines, and general unknown screens for these samples, correct?
Yes, that's usually our protocol.
And in any of those circumstances, were there positive results?
Yes.
And as it pertained to the positive results, what's your understanding of what was positive?
So to my knowledge, it was positive for the benzodiazepine panel in ELISA. That would have gotten further confirmatory testing done on it to see the levels as well as the individual types of benzos that were present in the blood. And the same was for the urine as well. We also identified a few substances via our general unknown screen, which was confirmed in blood and urine.
Now, as far as
Counsel, is there an agreement as to whose blood is being tested at this point instead of just by the number?
Yes.
I mean, it might be easier for everybody, for the jury to follow.
so would Your Honor just like you to read the results?
No, just instead of referring to it by a number. Well, let me see it sidebar.
God bless you, Judge, for that one. Yeah, just call it Lindsay's blood and just call out the results. They're stipulating to the chain of custody. They've stipulated to the quality of the sample. They've stipulated to these all being good samples. So if there were no issues with running the test, then just say it was Lindsay's blood and just tell us what the fuck was in it and move on.
I tell you that your report was previously entered as Exhibit 183. Have you had the opportunity to review your report before coming today?
Yes.
And so the lab number that we've been referring to, you're aware that the person associated with that lab number was actually a woman by the name of Lindsay Clancy.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as far as the testing that was done, you received results to the positive benzodiazepines in the screen, and then it was confirmed, correct?
Correct.
How many benzodiazepines were present?
There were at least 4 or 5.
Okay. And were you able to get concentration levels from the blood samples after that screen and the confirmatory tests?
Yes.
And again, already in evidence, but the toxicology report for item 10-101 on the blood with those benzodiazepines, there's diazepam, correct?
Yes.
Norodiazepam,
Yes.
oxazepam,
Yep.
temazepam,
Yes.
and lorazepam.
Yes.
And as far as your review of the testing on those substances and the concentration levels, did anything about any of those levels stand out to you as far as based on your training and experience?
Only that they were reportable.
Okay. Are you familiar whether they're in any sort of therapeutic level for any of those drugs?
I'm not sure.
Okay. You mentioned there were also other substances that were detected in the general unknown screen, correct?
Yes.
And that would have been mirtazapine, lamotrigine, quetiapine metabolite, and trazodone.
Yes.
And was your lab able to get concentration levels for those?
No.
And so what did you do, or what was done with the samples or the specimens as it pertained to those substances?
To my knowledge, it was sent to NMS labs.
And you've previously stated that you are trained on effects of certain types of drugs, but your limitation is you don't know how it affects a particular individual, correct?
Correct.
These particular 5 benzodiazepines, do you know where they fall in the type of drug, what the general effects of those drugs are?
Benzos tend to be central nervous system depressants.
And the ones that were detected, but you don't have the levels for, mirtazapine, and the list I read, what category are those drugs?
Those tend to also be central nervous system depressants. Quetiapine in particular is usually known to treat bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
And as it pertains to the presence of the 5 benzodiazepines, your testing is limited in that you don't know whether that was from one medication or multiple medications, correct?
Correct, because the nordiazepam, oxazepam, and temazepam tend to be metabolites of diazepam.
No further questions.
Attorney Reagan.
Morning.
Morning.
How you doing?
Not too bad yourself.
All right. Just a couple of brief questions. First of all, this would be a blood sample that was taken from Lindsay on a particular, like one day. This is not a panel of a bunch of different samples, right?
To my knowledge, there would have been a few different test tubes submitted to us.
Okay, test tubes, but when you draw in other words, when you draw the blood, it would basically be the same time that they put it in different test tubes.
Yes, I'm not familiar with these specific ones, like if they were done over a span of time. But usually,
that's fair enough. I mean, but you have the test tubes, and you know that it's Lindsay Clancy's blood, right?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that that's a fairly large number of drugs and metabolites that are in that particular blood sample, right?
I have seen more.
I'm sure, but nevertheless, that's still a large number of drugs, though, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
And you don't know, as a working your job for the state police at that time, you don't know how many of these drugs are coming from scripts, prescriptions, and things of that nature, right?
No.
One of the things that you had mentioned were metabolites, and you said that because the district attorney asked you about different benzodiazepines, this PAM, that PAM, this PAM, that PAM, and then you responded and said, yeah, but there's a lot of metabolites involved in that, right? What does that mean?
So a metabolite is just a breakdown of anything usually by the body. So you have what we call a parent drug, and the body, if you ingest that, the body would then break it down or put it into a more digestible form in order to get rid of it.
Okay. So when you have a number of metabolites, for example, someone may have a prescription
That's
for
toxicology.
amitriptyline
Recap:
or a
this Pam,
prescription
that
for
Pam, this
Zoloft
Pam,
or
that Pam. Come on,
Ativan or
buddy.
something. And they take the pill and it's in their system, and then over time it would metabolize, and there'd be different PAMs or whatever it is that would break down into the blood. Is that right?
Yes.
How about tetrahydrocannabinols, THC, marijuana? What was the level on that?
To my knowledge, we didn't find any.
No marijuana, right?
Correct.
Thank you very much, sir.
Attorney Buckingham, any redirect?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You sit down there.
That might not have been the most scientific explanation, but that made the most sense to the jury. I guarantee you. He said you take a pill and it's a PAM, and then it break down to this PAM, that PAM in the body. Break it down for the jury, Reddington.
Come on.
Your Honor, at this time, upon agreement, I'd ask to admit as the next exhibit, just a chart that the parties have agreed upon that lists the brand names of some of the drugs that have been spoken about throughout the course of the trial, as well as what they were also known as for the ease of the jurors.
All right.
Yes, that's by agreement, Judge.
All right. So by agreement, that may be admitted.
And the Commonwealth would call Dr. Jonathan Brower as its next witness.
Good morning, sir. Can you stop right here and raise your right hand for the clerk, please?
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury without an outcome between the Commonwealth and the defendant shall be the truth? So help you God. Thank you. You may have a seat.
Watch your step, please.
All right. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
All right. It's up so the jury can hear you. And with that, counsel.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Can you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
It's Justin Brower, Brower.
And what do you do for work, sir?
I'm a forensic toxicologist for NMS Laboratories.
And where is that laboratory located?
The laboratory is located in Horsham, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia.
And what does your laboratory do?
We are a reference laboratory. We do postmortem work, clinical work, and forensic drug work. So primarily my role is on the forensic side. I'm a forensic toxicologist.
And does your lab receive specimens from all across the country?
We do. We have clients in all 50 states. We do approximately half of the postmortem work in the United States, as well as a large number of clinical clients.
And is your lab accredited across several states and across the country?
We are, because we deal with all the states in the United States, all the states in the country. We are accredited by just about every accrediting body that I'm aware of in the clinical and forensic aspects, as well as a lot of state certifications. So a lot of states have their own requirements. The most notable one is like New York State. So we're accredited by, again, every accrediting body that I'm aware of.
And how long have you worked for NMS Laboratory?
4 years as of August 1st.
And what's your educational background as a forensic toxicologist?
I have a PhD in organic chemistry.
Where did you get that from?
The University of Nevada.
And do you have any other professional experience in this field prior to working for NMS?
I do. Before joining NMS Laboratories, I was a laboratory supervisor and then forensic toxicologist for the North Carolina Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, which is a state postmortem toxicology work for all 100 counties of the state of North Carolina.
And when it comes to your role in the forensic area of doing the toxicology testing, what is your role in the NMS lab when it comes to cases that come to the laboratory for forensic analysis?
So when a case comes into NMS and is logged in and
the assigned or the requested test assigned and then run and reviewed multiple times in the laboratory. When all that testing is completed, it comes to the toxicology department, and my role is to review every aspect of that case. So I'm making sure that everything on the toxicology report is complete and accurate, such as all the demographic information that we have available to us, the name of the decedent or the patient, date of birth, where it's from, the specimens that we received, and then also that all of everything that is reported is complete and accurate, making sure that all the drugs that were tested for are reported, that the reported concentrations are correct and accurate, and looking at every piece of raw data accumulated from the laboratory with that case, associated with that case.
Fair to say the NMS laboratory uses a batch review workflow.
That is correct. So we not only run the cases in batches, so we don't run one case at a time. That's not very efficient. I don't really know of any laboratory that does that anymore. So we will run cases, 10, 15, 30 or 40 at a time.
So as far as running a particular tests and getting the raw data, that's usually done by other people in the laboratory, correct?
That is correct.
And then you come in at the end and review everything and have the ability to interpret the data.
That is correct.
Your training and experience as a forensic toxicologist, does that allow you to interpret concentration levels of particular types of drugs?
It does.
Now, as far as the testing done at NMS laboratories, the traditional testing is kind of the drug testing, the panels for different common drugs, correct?
And typically, we have clients request panels to be run where we're looking for, multiple drugs and classes of drugs at a time.
But are there circumstances when outside laboratories or outside individuals retain your lab in order to run specific tests?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I'm going to draw your attention to this particular case. Was your laboratory provided a blood sample from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab in April of 2023?
I believe so. I'd really like to see the toxicology report so I can just confirm all of that, please.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you so much.
You can hang on to that.
That's fine.
Okay. Correct. We received the specimens on April 7th, 2023.
And it came from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab?
No. I don't know where they were initially sent from, but the client or the submitting agency is the District Attorney's Office of Plymouth.
Okay. Now, as it pertains to the requested testing that was done, was it that panel that you described, or was it more specific testing?
This is what we call direct testing, where they requested just 4 specific drugs to be tested for.
And what were the 4 specific tests requested?
Lamotrigine, mirtazapine, quetiapine, and trazodone.
Are you familiar with those substances or those drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
And you reviewed all of the data and information done at your lab in regards to these tests, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Were they able to identify concentration levels in the sample that was submitted for each one of those 4 substances?
Yes, ma'am.
And for the first, can you tell us what the result was?
Would you like me just run down the list?
Sure.
Okay. We detected lamotrigine in a concentration of 6.1 micrograms per milliliter. Mirtazapine at a concentration of 200 nanograms per milliliter. Quetiapine at a concentration of 1,800 nanograms per milliliter. And trazodone at a concentration of 0.44 micrograms per milliliter. And these were all in blood.
In blood. And so with each drug that you just listed, are you familiar with what the common name is for the drugs?
I'm not always that great with common names, but I can wing it.
Okay. Well, the lamotrigine, and forgive me if I botched
That's okay.
the pronunciation, that's also referred to commonly as Lamictal.
It is correct, Lamictal.
What kind of drug is that?
It's typically used as an anti-seizure medication. So if somebody has a seizure disorder, it can be prescribed to alleviate seizures, but it is also used for bipolar disorder as well.
And mirtazapine, fair to say that's commonly referred to as Remeron.
Correct.
And what kind of drug is that?
That isn't typically an antidepressant.
And quetiapine, what's that common drug?
Quetiapine is known as Seroquel.
And fair to say that's an antipsychotic as well for
Yes.
bipolar?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with whether that often can be prescribed in low doses for sleep?
It is. It can be for insomnia.
And trazodone, what's the common name for trazodone, if you know?
I am drawing a blank on the trazodone.
If I suggest trazamine, is that familiar?
Not the one I'm most familiar with, and I apologize.
That's okay, but you're familiar with trazodone.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
what class of drug is that?
That's an antidepressant.
Now, in your review of the levels that were detected in these 4 tests for each of these substances, do any of these levels appear to be outside therapeutic concentration levels?
The only one that's a little elevated would be the quetiapine.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a very short break at this time, all right? So this will be a short break and we'll come right back, all right?
All right. Good. Please go to notebook, place them on the chairs. This way, please.
All right, we'll be right, this will be a short break, just for a short recess, we'll come right back up.
Half hour?
Hopefully not. Yeah.
I hate we never know when the break or how long or when they gonna come back from break. Warm up your coffee. I know we're waiting on them to come back from break, but we are only on day 3 week 2. And this could be going for quite a while. Do you guys think we're going to go the whole 6 to 8 weeks? Because I'm not going to lie, I was kind of thinking to myself last night, like, if we go 6 weeks, like, what else are we getting ready to get into? Reddington is trying to speed the bus up. Reddington definitely is saying it don't take this long. The nanny, ooh. And there were 2 nannies, right? The mental health professionals, I think that maybe they think that's going to take the longest. Because I would, bring on the doctors, damn it. Like, bring on the doctors, because how else do we figure this out? I'm not going to lie. Reddington is way more qualified, 3,000% more qualified than I. In every aspect of this case, but I'm not going to lie. I was scared about all those stipulations. I was. I'm scared that they say that, yeah, I did it. That scares me. That scares me. I have not read Patrick's civil suit, Laura. I have it on my list of things to do. Also with Kohlberger's written motion, I wanted to read that as well. I took the highlights of him saying his innocence will be proven, and he invites them to put the big penalty on there because he's going to be basically exonerated. But part of me is feeling like he's taunting them to get his time in front of the camera. But I didn't read the whole thing, so I can't say that for sure. A level of more confusion. Oh shit. Okay. Would it affect my y'all kind of know how my brain works. Would I be feeling some type of way throughout the rest of the trial? Should I wait to the end of the trial to read it? Would I start looking at Patrick's shoes if I read it? No, read it now. Okay. I should be able to. Ooh, no, today is early release, so don't count on me today. But I'll get it done before this weekend. Before the weekend is up. Do I have anything this weekend? No, it's next weekend. I think I can get it done this week. Don't count on me for nothing. Today is Wednesday, so everything will be dependent upon you guys as nephews. Okay. Jaffe, Jofer, and Prince Akeem when they get home. Okay. My life is not my own. Not against his, I believe it's against medical, like a malpractice type thing. Whoa. Very dark Texas Buckeye. But to be honest, there are a lot of people who do believe that if not in that specific sequence of events, that he had something with it. There are people that believe that he was the voice that she heard. There have been people who have, I'm getting the think pieces, okay? There are people who believe that he was the one messing with her medication. I'm like, is he a mad scientist? Like, did the voice tell her to text him about food? It's not like he said, hey, you've been with the kids all day outside building snowmans and doing art projects. You want me to run a 3V and grab some food? Like, that's where I start to have a hard time with some of those theories, because he didn't initiate leaving. You know, the new wife will always get blamed. And like I said, I told y'all my great grandmother always said, you lose folks the same way you get them. So if you ain't had the right intentions, you ain't. I mean, that's betwixt them and God. But I don't blame him for getting out of that house, leaving that house, moving out of state. I wouldn't want to be there. If something like that were to happen to me in Arizona, I wouldn't live here. I wouldn't want to see the places me and my kids went. I wouldn't want to see where they get ice cream. I wouldn't want to see their bus stop. I wouldn't want to see these kids. I wouldn't want to see the school buses. I wouldn't want to see where Denver tripped and fell, or where Dallas fell off his scooter. I wouldn't want to see their school. I wouldn't want to see they didn't go to daycare, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't live in this state at all. I wouldn't want to hear the name of the state. So, and yeah, something like that happened in my basement, which aren't too many basements in Arizona. But if something like that happened in my basement, keep the basement, the house, and everything else in it. If my car keys are in there, you can have the fucking car. I'm not going in there. I don't want to smell my kids. I don't want to see my kids. I don't want to be reminded. That office, I probably would have a problem working from home. I'll probably have to go into an office after that. Like, I would leave, and it wouldn't take me 4 months to do it. So I don't blame Patrick for that. I wouldn't live on this continent. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't blame Patrick for leaving that house, that neighborhood, that street, that state. You don't find too many basements. And honestly, Desi, when you do see the places that they call a basement, it kind of reminds you of, like, on the Midwest folks, East Coast folks will call it like a split level. So it's not completely underground, but it's underground. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's one thing that's like a luxury. They're very few and far between. There aren't many basements here. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly,
Back to session, you may be seated.
All right, we all set for the jury?
I know there is going to come a time in here. We've seen it in any case where someone's air supply has been cut off, where they sit there and they go over how much time it takes to cut off air supply, right? They either make a sit in silence, or they count, or they use a timer, or it happens. And to know that times 3, that's going to probably messed me up more than that fucking exercise band did yesterday. But I know it's coming.
Oh, all right, jurors enter.
Come on back, Nicholas. Finish this up for us.
This court's now in session. Please be seated.
All right, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, including Ms. Clancy and including the 18 jurors.
All right. All right. Counsel?
Thank you. Dr. Brower, before we broke, we mentioned the term therapeutic concentration. You familiar with that term?
Correct.
What does that mean?
It's the typical concentration that one would achieve when they're taking the medication or drug as indicated by their prescriber.
And are you familiar with toxic concentrations or suicidal concentrations?
I am.
And what does that mean?
Those are concentrations that could lead to adverse events and potentially death.
Now, in relation to the 4 substances that were tested at the NMS laboratory, you identified the levels for each of the 4 substances. Were any of those concentration levels considered within therapeutic concentration?
It would all be in what I would say a therapeutic concentration, except maybe the quetiapine, which is slightly elevated.
Okay. And in your experience as a forensic toxicologist, have you had the occasion to review cases, postmortem cases in which suicide was a mechanism of death where the person consumed medication?
Absolutely, yes.
And so that level of the quetiapine at the 800 nanograms per milliliter, would that have been in that toxic or suicidal level?
No, ma'am.
Would you generally expect to see that significantly greater in a suicide case?
Typically, quetiapines in suicide cases might be in the, close to 10,000 nanograms per milliliter. Usually people take handfuls of pills when they're trying to harm themselves and take their own life. And this is not consistent with
They're
that.
putting quetiapine up there
Now,
with
are you also
superficial.
familiar in your training and experience with the class of drugs called benzodiazepines?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have the occasion to interpret data as it pertains to concentration levels for those?
Every single day.
And as far as the substances diazepam, noradiazepam, oxazepam, temazepam, lorazepam, you're familiar with those?
I am.
And it's fair to say noradiazepam, oxazepam, temazepam, those are all metabolites of diazepam?
Typically, yes, ma'am.
And what's the common name for diazepam?
Valium.
If I show you what's been marked as Exhibit 183 already. Can you see that on the screen beside you?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Right there.
Can you see the levels?
They're all blurry.
Yep, hold on. There we go.
My eyesight's not great too, so
Okay, so
That's
I think
perfect.
that's the best I can do with the autofocus.
don't touch it.
Anything about the levels that you observed here regarding those substances, those benzodiazepines, that tell you that they're outside therapeutic concentration levels?
The diazepam and the nordiazepam, oxazepam, and temazepam metabolites, the diazepam looks to be sub-therapeutic, meaning lower than what is typically expected from a therapeutic dose. Most therapeutic doses of diazepam, which is an anxiolytic drug or an anti-anxiety drug, are typically 200, 250 thereabouts nanogram per milliliter. The lorazepam, depending upon the dose, could be a therapeutic concentration, if not maybe a little bit lower than expected.
Now, when you're reviewing these cases as the reporting forensic toxicologist, are there limitations on what you can say about the effects of these types of medications?
We can speak as to the general effects that drugs can have on the general population, but we try to restrict ourselves from saying with absolute certainty that a drug will have this effect on this specific person, because we just aren't there to witness their behavior.
Okay, so that was kind of the follow-up. So
I'm sorry.
what are the things that are the unknowns for you when you're just looking at data?
When we say that we can't do toxicology in a vacuum. You can't know everything about the case just by looking at numbers on the toxicology report and drugs on a toxicology report. You need other information to have an informed opinion. In the postmortem world, that would be the investigation itself, the history of the case, the scene findings, interviews with families and friends of the decedent, as well as autopsy findings as well. In a case like this where it's not a decedent and the person is alive, you still need to know some facts of the case, some sort of history of the case, like what happened. So just numbers on a page, you can just make very generalized types of opinions, such as that looks to be therapeutic, it looks to be high, it looks to be low, and then again, just the general effects on the drugs on people.
And in this particular instance, you were not provided any further information about the case or the investigation in order to make any more opinions about effects.
I knew nothing about this case until we spoke, I think it was probably a few weeks ago.
And as far as the information available to you, you only had the data from the specimen that was tested, correct?
That is correct. Just these 4 drugs that were requested to be tested for.
And as far as the drugs, the 4 drugs that were tested by your lab, what are the general characteristics of some of those drugs?
So these are generally antidepressants and antipsychotic medications. So if somebody had, the lamotrigine, if somebody has, say, bipolar disorder, like wild mood swings, depressive episodes or psychotic episodes, these drugs could be prescribed. They also have depressant effects, so they could make people become, lethargic or sleepy.
Okay, and would any of the combination of these drugs cause a person to stop breathing?
It's possible, especially the mirtazapine, quetiapine, the trazodone, and then the 2 other benzodiazepines. Those are all central nervous system depressants, so they could, in large combinations or large concentrations and in combination with each other, cause central nervous system depression, which could reduce people's respiration rates.
But in the levels that you observed in the testing that your lab did, as well as what I just showed you from Exhibit 183, is there anything about those concentration levels that would give you a sense that the person could have stopped breathing as a result of these?
Not necessarily, but if I had the information that, a patient presented to an emergency department and they had labored breathing and weren't breathing adequately, and I had this information, then you could probably tie all that together. But without that extra information, then generally no.
Based on the levels alone, you can't give any sort of opinion.
I would like to not.
Okay. And finally, are you familiar with the drug Narcan?
I am.
And what kind of effect does the drug Narcan have on a person who has consumed these drugs, if any?
Just these drugs that we've talked about here today?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely nothing.
Can you explain to us why it is that Narcan wouldn't have an effect?
Narcan is an opioid overdose reversal agent. It is an opioid antagonist. So it binds to the opioid receptors. So it doesn't allow other opioids like, say, fentanyl or oxycodone to bind to those receptors to have, to exert its effects. So it only works on opioids. None of these drugs work on the opioid receptors, so Narcan would have no effect whatsoever on these drugs.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Reddington.
Good morning.
Dr. Brower, so one of the things that you had mentioned is that you, and I think I would quote you, I would like not to give an opinion without basically the underlying facts. In other words, what you're saying is that the numbers alone do not tell the tale of what happened to a particular individual, right?
Correct. They don't tell the entire story.
Right. And you're, for NMS Laboratory, you were retained or working for the DA's office, these people here, right?
That was the submitting agency. Correct.
And they certainly were not constrained from picking up the phone and calling you and telling you that this is blood from a woman that threw herself out a window and tried to kill herself after cutting her wrists and her neck. They could have told you that, right? Overruled.
It's possible that does happen in rare occasions in high-profile cases.
Right. And so that would have been something, for example, the facts that you wanted to know, that you would have liked to have known to kind of round out your opinion about the actual level of the drugs in the blood that you examined, right?
It's not necessary.
Well, it's not necessary, but you did indicate that you would like to not give an opinion without the facts.
Correct.
Okay.
Today.
From the witness stand.
Correct. I don't have all the information.
Of course. And the word therapeutic, is that consistent with, in other words, the treatment level of a particular narcotic or drug in the blood?
Correct. It's the concentration of the drug in the body to elicit an effect or the desired effect.
NMS Laboratory records that I introduced, that they will mark the ID.
Which one?
Not yesterday. She's trying to find the record. As it relates to the therapeutic level, sir, is it your understanding that the lorazepam, the alprazolam, clonazepam, the council had asked you about the benzodiazepines were within therapeutic, thank you, within therapeutic level?
I'm sorry, I had trouble hearing you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They were within therapeutic level?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the entire question?
Sure. What is lamotrigine?
Lamotrigine is typically used as an anti-seizure medication and could also be used for bipolar disorder.
Okay. Do you have the results for your lab in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Toxicology? Yeah, you can read along just so you can refresh your memory if it helps. The lamotrigine, it says 6.1. What does that mean?
6.1 micrograms per milliliter. So there were 6.1 micrograms of lamotrigine per milliliter of blood.
All right. Is that above therapeutic, below therapeutic, or therapeutic?
It's right in the middle of the therapeutic range.
So if somebody had a prescription, for example, for that narcotic or that drug, then they were taking the drug according to the recommended dose, right?
And that's what it would appear to me if they were prescribed it, correct?
How about the mirtazapine?
The mirtazapine also looks to be probably used appropriately as prescribed.
And you need a prescription for that, don't you?
Yes, you need a prescription for all four of these drugs.
Okay. And is there another name for mirtazapine?
Remeron.
Remeron. All right. And what is the purpose, or what do you use Remeron for?
It's an antidepressant.
How about the quetiapine is the number 3?
The quetiapine is also known as Seroquel, and that is generally used as an antipsychotic.
And what does that mean when you say an antipsychotic? What does that mean?
So somebody has psychotic episodes, say like hallucinations or just not seeing reality like quote normal person would, they could be prescribed quetiapine to as an antipsychotic to try to kind of level out their brain chemistry.
And what was the result on the quetiapine?
1,800 nanograms per milliliter.
Now, is that within therapeutic? Is that below or high?
It looks high to me, depending upon the dosage.
And trazodone is the next one. What is that?
Trazodone is also an antidepressant.
And is that, what's the result on that?
Oh, I'm sorry, 0.44 micrograms per milliliter.
Okay. And is that therapeutic, below therapeutic, or above therapeutic?
I would say that's a therapeutic concentration.
Okay. So basically, with the exception of the quetiapine that was 1,800 nanograms per, what is a nanogram? What does that mean? Nanograms per milliliter. What does that mean?
It's a very, very small amount. It's 1/1,000,000th of a milligram.
Okay. And that's how you measure the quantity of a particular substance that would be in a person's blood, correct?
In the blood, correct.
So on the quetiapine at 1,800 nanograms per milliliter, that's the only one that was not therapeutic. That was a little higher than therapeutic. Is that correct?
Correct. It's approximately maybe double what you might expect. So it's, when I say it's a little elevated, it's not in a concentration that I would consider to be necessarily toxic or lethal.
Okay. And you don't know, working for NMS labs, or whether or not a person had a prescription for these drugs, or when they got the prescription, or who gave them the prescription. You don't know that, right?
I have none of that information, no.
You could have known that if somebody had told you that, but you don't know it from looking at the numbers that we have here, right?
Correct. It's possible if they would have given us that information. We don't always need to have it, though.
All right, this is what I had offered for
Can I just see it again first?
Oh, sure.
If we can just approach briefly on the issue.
Yeah.
They did say that she wasn't taking the medication that she was supposed to, but the medications that they listed are not, I won't say all because they had like 9 bottles, but there's a couple of medications that aren't listed here as being in her system that that they mentioned, which would make sense that either this medication was being managed and rearranged and changed, because I don't see a couple. I'm thinking it's a couple I should have wrote. I don't keep my notes from past days. Do I have them here?
All right, so we're going to introduce that exhibit at this time.
Thank you. Just if I may, excuse me, approaching, which basically is an NMS lab report,
Same as this one.
same numbers on.
Yeah, like the buspirone, they had a couple of those bottles of those, and that wasn't mentioned to be even in her system. So kind of makes me feel like it was being changed around, the medications.
Dr. Brower, you, in fact, once got this case for review, you authored a corrected report in regards to this case, correct?
Correct.
At this point, I would move to admit the report. As
No
submitted.
objection.
All right, that may be admitted as well.
Thank you. Nothing further.
I have nothing further. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, thank you, Doctor.
Am I released?
You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, prior to the next witness, the Commonwealth would move to submit 4 stipulations the parties have entered into. The first being a stipulation regarding DNA known standard samples. The second being a stipulation regarding DNA evidence for the blue exercise band and the red-brown stain on the basement floor. The third being the stipulation regarding DNA evidence for the yellow exercise band and the black exercise band. And the fourth being the stipulation regarding DNA comparisons for the blue exercise band and the red-brown stain in the basement.
That's right. We don't need to have all those witnesses.
All right, so those stipulations may be entered as exhibits. Counsel, do you want those published or read to the jury, or satisfied that they'll have those? And the parties can refer to the contents of the stipulations.
The only one we would like to have read to the jury, I'm sorry, are you all set?
That's on me. I kind of jumped in there. I'm sorry.
Exhibits 208 through 211. Would be the exhibit 211, the stipulation regarding the comparisons for the blue band and the red-brown stain.
Yeah, I don't, if she wants you to read it, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I think it was defense that wanted you to read it. I'm fine
Well,
reading it.
you know what? I want to read it. All right, so that's what we'll do. All right, so members of the jury, remember, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I talked a little bit about those stipulations. So the same instructions. All right, these are facts that I'm going to read that the parties have agreed to, that you can rely on in arriving at your verdict at the end of this case. This is one of 4 that was just introduced. You'll have all 4 of them with you back in the jury room when you're deliberating. But so let me just read this one stipulation. This doesn't mean this stipulation is any more important than any of the other ones, but the parties would like me to just read this one here. All right, so this is a stipulation regarding the DNA comparisons for the blue exercise band and the red-brown stain. It was marked A. Now, in the above captioned matter, the parties agree to the following facts as it pertains to the DNA comparisons for the blue exercise band and the red-brown stain A in the basement. Number 1, forensic scientist Emily Oliver reviewed and interpreted the data relating to the question items, parentheses, item 2-4, blue exercise band, and item 3-3, the red-brown stain A from the basement floor, close parentheses, and conducted comparison analysis to the known standards in this case. Number 2, the parties agreed to the following conclusions regarding comparison analysis of these items. A, item 2-4.1.1, sample from the ends of the blue exercise band. The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 3 contributors. There are 5 individuals who have a likelihood ratio that indicates an inclusion in the profile. They are Dawson Clancy, Callan Clancy, Cora Clancy, Lindsay Clancy, and Patrick Clancy. B, item 2-4.2.1, sample from the middle of the blue exercise band. The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 3 contributors. Callan Clancy is included as a major contributor. And C, item 3-3.1, sample of swabs from the red-brown stain A on the basement floor. The DNA profile was interpreted as originating from a single contributor. Cora Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. So that's the stipulation that the parties have agreed to. All right.
And one last stipulation to be marked as the next exhibit, the stipulation regarding the batch work done at NMS Labs. We're not asking that this be read at this
Okay.
time.
All right.
The Commonwealth would call Katerina Stashin.
Come on, ma'am. You stop right there, raise your right hand for the pledge, please.
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter now having between the Commonwealth and the defendant of God shall be the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. You may have a seat, ma'am.
Watch your step, please.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. All right. Attorney Sprague, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Good morning. My name is Katerina Stashin. My first name is spelled Katarina. Last name is spelled Stashyn.
And can you describe for us your educational background?
I have a bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology from the University of Nevada, Reno.
And what is your occupation?
I'm currently employed by the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Science Division, which is located in Reno, Nevada. I'm a criminalist in the biology and forensic investigation sections.
Back in January of 2023, where were you working?
I previously worked for the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory as a forensic scientist in the DNA unit, which is functionally the same role that I currently have in the biology section.
And
I'm sorry. We agreed to the DNA. I'm just letting you know that.
Okay. All right.
and I'm just
Attorney Sprague?
giving that evidence to the jury.
Go ahead.
So when did you start working for the state police?
I worked for the Massachusetts State Police from June 2021 to February of 2025.
And what was the nature of your work for the lab at that time?
As a DNA analyst, I processed evidence items obtained either from a crime scene or from an individual associated with a criminal investigation. These items of evidence would be processed through the laboratory. I then would perform interpretations, comparisons as needed, write reports. I also could perform administrative reviews of other analysts' work and provide expert witness testimony as needed.
And part of your employment at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab, did you take competency tests and proficiency tests to guarantee that you were capable and proficient in the areas you were working?
Yes, I took both competency tests after my training and proficiency tests throughout my career at Massachusetts and at my current role.
And have you passed all of those tests?
Yes, I have passed all competency and proficiency tests that I've taken so far in my career.
Can you tell us what is DNA?
DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and this is genetic information that is stored in our cells. This is information that makes us who we are, determines how we develop and grow. A person's DNA is inherited approximately half from their mom and half from their dad. DNA is forensically relevant because it is expected that no two individuals will have the same forensic DNA profile.
And is DNA the same in every single cell in a person's body?
Yes, the DNA profile obtained from different cells, different cell types like a blood cell or from a saliva cell or cell in your saliva would have the same DNA profile, barring your mutation.
And can you explain generally the process used to analyze evidence, in this case, the testing involving the defendant, Lindsay Clancy?
The items tested in this case and in all cases will go through a 4-step laboratory process of extraction, quantification, amplification, and detection. And then profiles developed from that laboratory process will be interpreted and compared.
Can you just briefly explain what is extraction and how it's done?
Extraction is the first step of that laboratory process that involves applying a variation of heat and chemicals to a sample. This breaks open cells that are present and releases the DNA and then isolates that DNA.
And was the next step quantification?
Yes.
And what is that and how do you do that?
Quantification is the second step when we determine a reliable estimate for the amount of DNA in those samples that were extracted. And those values are then used to optimize the rest of the process with the goal to obtain a quality profile for that sample.
And the third step, amplification, can you explain that?
Amplification is when we make millions and millions of copies of certain areas of DNA to make it able to be detected and visualized.
And then detection, what is that?
And then the fourth step is separation or detection. This is where we separate out all those millions and millions of copies that we made to make them visual. This produces a DNA profile that an analyst is then able to review and interpret.
And when you worked at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab, were there certain standardized protocols and procedures that you used at that lab?
Yes.
And were there controls used in your testing?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So there are 2 different types of controls that were used in our testing. The first is a positive control. This is a sample that contains a known DNA profile, and it is processed alongside evidence samples. So when that known DNA profile is obtained at the end of the process, it confirms that the process is working appropriately. The second type of control is a negative control, and this is a sample that contains no DNA that is also processed alongside evidence samples. And this is able to monitor any contamination and confirm that clean technique is used during testing.
And does your work undergo a review process at the lab, or did it?
Yes, all work goes through 2 stages of review, technical review and administrative review. Technical review is when another qualified analyst reviews all of the work done in the file and in the report. They confirm that all protocols were followed and that correct conclusions were drawn. And then administrative review is when another analyst reviews that file, all of the documentation and the report for overall clerical accuracy and completeness.
And when you worked on lab number 23-01723, evidence involved in the deaths of Cora Clancy, Dawson Clancy, and Callan Clancy, did you follow the standardized protocols and procedures?
Yes.
Were there any issues with the controls that were present when you did this testing?
All controls were acceptable per the laboratory protocols.
And did your work undergo and pass that review process you just described?
Yes, all work went through both technical and administrative review.
And if we could talk specifically about the work that you did in this case, first, I'd like you to talk about your work done on the yellow exercise band and the black exercise band. Now, you didn't actually handle those items, correct?
I did a portion of the laboratory work for those samples, but I did not handle the actual bands themselves. I handled swabs of those bands.
So at some point in time in the lab, someone took swabs from those bands, and then that was forwarded to the DNA unit, the swabs?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, there was item 2-2.1.1, swabs from the ends of the yellow exercise band, and item 2-2.2.1, swabs from the middle of the yellow exercise band, correct?
Could I refer to my report to confirm that?
Any objection?
Thank you. Yes.
And when doing your comparison work, did you also use some DNA profiles that had been generated in the lab for Dawson Clancy, Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, I utilized known standards that were developed from those individuals.
And known standards, are those basically the DNA profiles for each of those individuals?
Yes, known standards are samples collected directly from a known individual for comparison purposes.
And going to item 2-2.1.1, the swabs from the ends of the yellow exercise band, what were your findings?
So I'm going to start with a general statement for this report as a whole. The presence of multiple first-degree relatives in a mixture DNA profile can impact overall interpretation, including the determination of the number of contributors and likelihood ratios. Relatedness was considered for the following results. For item 2-2.1.1, sample from ends of yellow exercise band located in basement office, 47 Summer Street. The DNA profile is a mixture, including male DNA. Due to the possible relatedness of low-level contributors to this profile, an alternate number of contributors was considered. First, assuming 2 contributors. The DNA profile is a mixture of at least 2 contributors, including male DNA. Contributors 1 and 2 are suitable for comparison. The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 2 contributors. The DNA profile from this item is at least 1.7 non-nillion times more likely if it originated from Dawson Clancy and an unknown individual than if it originated from 2 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Dawson Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy are excluded from this DNA profile. Assuming 3 contributors. The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 3 contributors. Contributor 1 is suitable for comparison. Due to limited information and possible relatedness of contributors, contributors 2 and 3 are not suitable for comparison. The DNA profile from this item is at least 920 octillion times more likely if it originated from Dawson Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Dawson Clancy is included to this DNA profile. Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy are excluded from contributor 1 of this DNA profile.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about what you've just told us. You mentioned the effect of relatedness. What does that mean?
So as I mentioned, an individual's DNA is inherited approximately 1/2 from their mom and 1/2 from their dad. So this means that there's a lot of DNA shared between relatives, including between parent and children and between siblings. So this can affect the determination of the number of contributors. So when I review the profile to see how many people are in that profile, because there's so much DNA that is shared. So taking that into account, I did 2 different interpretations. First, assuming 2 contributors, and the second, assuming 3 contributors, again, just due to the complexity of relatedness and its effect on this profile, especially low-level contributors.
And would it be correct to state that when there is this level of relatedness where you have 2 parents and 3 siblings, that you can have false exclusions?
If there is an under-assignment of the number of contributors, meaning that the number of contributors is incorrectly assigned lower than it actually is, which is a possibility with relatedness because you're working with less information because that information is shared, the underassigning could lead to false exclusions of true contributors.
Could you also miss some people to include?
Due to the effects of relatedness, it could be difficult to determine number of contributors simply because so much information is shared. Therefore, it is more complex when assigning this number.
And for item 2-2.1.1, the ends of the yellow exercise band, whether you considered 2 contributors or 3 contributors, both of your findings find that Dawson Clancy was a contributor, a potential contributor.
Both propositions, either 2 contributors or 3 contributors, had high inclusionary stats for Dawson Clancy, correct.
What's a nonillion?
Nonillion is a very large number.
Do you know how many people are on Earth?
I know it's,
This is typical DNA gobbledygook at this point, Judge.
Well, I object to his
Yeah,
objection.
Gobbledygook.
Go ahead.
They're going to talk
You can
about
ask.
not millions and how many.
Counsel, can I see you over at sidebar?
He is over it. And I wondered if they were going to do this because there's not going to be an easy way to give. We already know just the results of DNA because of all the trials that we watch. When we get the DNA, they're not going to say this was Cora, this one was used on Dawson. They're going to have to go through the likelihood that it was this child over all the other people in the world 6 times over. Then on top of that, these are household items. The kids were in the basement. They all probably used the workout equipment. So everybody's DNA being on these items is going to be a factor. And then everybody pretty much sharing most of their DNA, as all 3 of them came from Patrick and Lindsay. That's going to, muddy up some waters. Like, just, it was them.
All right, Attorney Sprague.
Thank you, Your Honor. 1.7 nonillion, is that more than there are people on the Earth?
that is more individuals that are on the Earth, but I would like to clarify that a likelihood ratio is not a random match probability or a rarity of that profile. A likelihood ratio is a ratio that describes the probability of observing the DNA profile if a certain person is included versus the probability of observing that DNA profile if a certain person is excluded or if it is another unknown, unrelated individual.
And you said nonillion is a very high number, correct?
Yes, that's a very large number in my opinion.
So it's a very large probability that Dawson Clancy is a contributor to that mixture.
It is a large likelihood ratio that provides support for the inclusion of Dawson Clancy to the profile.
And then going to item 2-2.2.1, the swabs from the middle of the exercise band, what were your findings for that?
The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of two contributors, including male DNA. The DNA profile from this item is at least 1.5 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Dawson Clancy and an unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown, unrelated individuals. This provides support that Dawson Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 3.6 million times more likely if it originated from Callan Clancy and an unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown, unrelated individuals. This provides support that Callan Clancy is included as a contributor to this profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 1.4 billion times more likely if it originated from Patrick Clancy and an unknown individual than if it originated from two unknown, unrelated individuals. This provides support that Patrick Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. Cora Clancy and Lindsay Clancy are excluded from this DNA profile. The mixture DNA profile from this item is consistent with having originated from two individuals. There are three individuals who have a likelihood ratio that indicates an inclusion. Though there is support for the individual inclusions of Dawson Clancy, Callan Clancy, and Patrick Clancy to the mixture DNA profile, under the stated assumptions, these individuals cannot be present in the mixture together. Assuming 1, 2 contributors, and 2, Dawson Clancy is one of the contributors, Callan Clancy and Patrick Clancy cannot be present in the mixture together. Support for inclusion may be impacted by mixtures which contain relative, especially first-degree relatives. Refer to the independent inclusionary statistics above.
So this
Jesus.
swab from the middle of the yellow exercise band, you stated was a mixture of two contributors, two people, correct?
Yes, I determined using my training and experience that the profile was a mixture of two contributors.
And then you had 3 possible contributors, Dawson, Callan, and Patrick. for the two-person mixture. So is it accurate that that relatedness issue was having an effect on those, on that data or that result?
Yes, relatedness of potential contributors was having an effect on this profile, and that is because so much DNA is shared between potential contributors.
And what you stated at the end, that if Dawson Clancy is one of the contributors, then Callan Clancy and Patrick Clancy cannot be present together in that mixture, correct?
Correct.
And Dawson Clancy was the one who had the 1.5 nonillion times more likely if it originated from him, correct?
Yes, the likelihood ratio for Dawson was 1.5 nonillion.
And would it be accurate to state that with male relatives, they share the same YSTR profile?
Yes, male relatives
All
will
of it.
share the same
Nate.
YSTR profile, barring rare mutation, but YSTR analysis was not done in this case.
Okay. And does that fact, when you have male relatives, does that affect the relatedness complications of your evaluation?
The fact that they're male doesn't necessarily have an effect, but just in general, relatedness has an effect in this case because so much DNA is shared between potential contributors.
And then going to item 2-3.1.1, the swabs from the ends of the black exercise band, you found that that sample was a mixture but wasn't suitable for comparison, correct?
Correct.
And what does it mean to be not suitable for comparison?
I'll read the statement in the report and then I'll clarify as needed. The DNA profile is a mixture, including male DNA, and is not suitable for comparison due to the complexity of the profile, the possibility of at least 5 contributors, and the relatedness of potential contributors.
So was it not suitable for comparison because there were so many potential contributors and many of them who were related?
Yes, there was multiple factors that made this profile not suitable. Relatedness was definitely one of those factors, and per laboratory protocols and validation, if there is any indication of a 5th contributor or more, a profile is not suitable for comparison due to limitations of our technology and software used.
Okay. So basically, if you're examining a profile and it looks like there's 5 or more, your work stops because of the limitations of your equipment.
Correct.
And then going to item 2-3.2.1, the swabs from the middle of the exercise band, what were your findings there?
The DNA profile was interpreted as a mixture of 3 contributors, including male DNA. The DNA profile from this item is at least 870 trillion times more likely if it originated from Dawson Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Dawson Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 1.6 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Cora Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Cora Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 2,600 times more likely if it originated from Callan Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Callan Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 220,000 times more likely if it originated from Patrick Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides support that Patrick Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The DNA profile from this item is at least 11 times more likely if it originated from Lindsay Clancy and 2 unknown individuals than if it originated from 3 unknown unrelated individuals. This provides limited support that Lindsay Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. The Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab DNA Unit validation studies showed inclusions for known non-contributors in the likelihood ratio range of at least 2 to 1,000. Adventitious support could be attributed to this conclusion.
Jesus. Where's my damn coffee?
The mixture DNA profile from this item is consistent with having originated from 3 individuals. There are 5 individuals who have a likelihood ratio that indicate an inclusion. Though there is support for the individual inclusions of Dawson Clancy, Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy to the mixture DNA profile, under the stated assumptions, these individuals cannot be present in the mixture together. Assuming 1, 3 contributors, and 2, Cora Clancy is one of the contributors, Dawson Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy cannot be present in the mixture together. Support for inclusion may be impacted by mixtures which contain relatives, especially first-degree relatives. Refer to the independent inclusionary statistics above.
And so again here, you're dealing with the effect of the relatedness of the parties, correct?
Correct. Relatedness is having an effect on potential contributors again to this profile. I'd just like to say that likelihood ratios are calculated independently for each person. They are not to show a likelihood ratio for more than one person or multiple people together in a profile. And again, because so much DNA is shared between potential contributors, that is why we're seeing some of the things we're seeing in this report.
And for this item, the middle of the black exercise band, the highest number of possible inclusion was the 1.6 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Cora Clancy and 2 unknown individuals, correct?
Yes, the highest statistic for this item was a likelihood ratio of 1.6 nonillion for Cora Clancy.
And based on your analysis of the data that you had, you determined it was a mixture of 3 contributors, correct?
Correct.
And so when you have the 3 contributors and Cora Clancy has the highest likelihood of being a contributor, if you include her in the mixture, the other 4 members of the family are excluded, correct?
Assuming 1, 3 contributors, and 2, Cora Clancy is one of the contributors, Dawson Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy cannot be present in the mixture together. Again, those statistics are all calculated independently and don't say anything about those people being in the mixture together.
And moving on to some other work you did in this case, specifically some swabs from the back side of the house, some shingles on 47 Summer Street in Duxbury, items 14-1, 14-2, and 14-3. Did you do work on those samples as well and compare them to the known profiles of Dawson Clancy, Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, Patrick Clancy, and Lindsay Clancy?
Your Honor, may I refer to my second report for these items? Thank you.
You said thank you before you said yes.
Yes, I did work on those items in my second report.
And directing your attention to item 14-1, a swab from stain B on the back side of the house, 47 Summer Street. What were your findings regarding that swab?
The female DNA profile was interpreted as originating from a single contributor. The DNA profile from this item is at least 18 octillion times more likely if it originated from Lindsay Clancy than if it originated from an unknown, unrelated individual. This provides support that Lindsay Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. Dawson Clancy, Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, and Patrick Clancy are excluded from this DNA profile.
And so unlike the samples and profiles we talked about earlier, this sample 14-1, the swab from stain B, wasn't a mixture, correct? It was just one person's DNA?
Correct. This was a single contributor profile.
And your findings was that Lindsay Clancy is at least 18 octillion times more likely if it originated from Lindsay Clancy than an unknown, unrelated individual.
The DNA profile from this item is at least 18 octillion times more likely if it originated from Lindsay Clancy than if it originated from an unknown, unrelated individual. This provides support that Lindsay Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile.
And so it's support that she's included as a contributor to this profile of one person, correct?
Yes, there is support with a likelihood ratio of 18 octillion for Lindsay Clancy.
And the other members of the family were excluded, correct?
Correct.
And then item 14-2, the swab from stain C on the backside of the house, 47 Summer Street. That profile was a mixture and not suitable for comparison, correct?
Correct. The DNA profile is a mixture and is not suitable for comparison due to the quality of the profile.
And what does it mean when something is not suitable due to the quality of the profile?
This was a low-level profile with not enough information to be interpreted.
Do you have to have a certain level of information in the data to make findings based on your protocols and procedures at the lab?
Yes, there are protocols and procedures that determine how we can determine our number of contributors, and therefore, if there's not enough information, a profile is not suitable for interpretation or comparisons.
And then item 14-3, the swab from stain D on the back of the home, 47 Summer Street. What were your findings for that swab?
The female DNA profile was interpreted as originating from a single contributor. The DNA profile from this item is at least 96 trillion times more likely if it originated from Lindsay Clancy than if it originated from an unknown, unrelated individual. This provides support that Lindsay Clancy is included as a contributor to this DNA profile. Dawson Clancy, Cora Clancy, Callan Clancy, and Patrick Clancy are excluded from this DNA profile.
And again, this is a single contributor, so the DNA profile of one person was found on the swab, correct?
Correct.
I have nothing further, thank you.
Reddington? All right, thank you, Ms. Stiftel, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, she about to irritate Reddington again.
Commonwealth would call Elaine Rossi as its next witness.
Why does this name sound familiar?
Good morning. Please stop right there. Raise your right hand for the clerk, please.
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony in the evidence you shall give is the truth, what kind of evidence?
Let's just stop right there, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. All right, counsel.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
My first name is Elaine Rossi.
Can you spell your last name for the record?
Was this
ROSSI.
Laney?
And what city or town do you live in?
I live in Kingston.
What do you do for work?
I'm a nanny
How long have you
Ooh.
been a nanny?
for about 15 years now.
In July of 2022, did you become familiar with the Clancy family?
I did.
And how did you become involved with their family?
I answered a Facebook advertisement seeking a part-time nanny position.
And who posted that advertisement?
Lindsay did.
And did she respond to your message?
I responded to her message.
Right. And so you said you were interested, right?
I did.
And then did she respond to you?
She did.
So did you have then communication back and forth with her about possibly taking on a nannying position for their family?
Yes, we did.
That was on July 22nd of 2022 that that initial back and forth occurred, correct?
Correct.
And as a result of your initial communication with her, did you end up setting up a time to come meet their family?
We did.
And how did that happen? Where did you meet them?
I met at their residence in the backyard of their home.
And that would be 47 Summer Street in Duxbury?
Correct.
And when you went to their home, were you able to meet the children?
Yes.
And how many children were there?
3.
And who were they?
Cora, Dawson, and Callan.
And present at that meeting that you had in their backyard were also Patrick and Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of kind of meeting at their home in the backyard?
It was to get familiar with the kids, just for an introductory meeting. I got to hold Callan and play with Cora and Dawson a little bit and talk to Lindsay and Patrick.
And so at that time, Cora was 4, right?
Yes.
And Dawson was 3.
Yes,
and Callan was an infant.
yes.
Now, as a result of your kind of interview or interaction with them, what eventually happened with your relationship with the Clancys? Did you become their nanny?
I did.
And did you communicate with Lindsay about what the expectations of the job were going to be?
I did.
So what was your role or your expectations of the role?
My role was to take care of Callan when she went back to work.
Okay, and did you know when that was expected to happen?
I believe right around Thanksgiving.
And did you start working for them prior to that? Prior to November?
Yes, I did. I started first week in September of 2022.
And so while the original terms were for you to primarily watch Callan, did you take on a slightly different role in between September and November?
I did.
And so what were the responsibilities, or what did the Clancys ask you to do for the family during the time of September through essentially when you stopped working for them?
It was to get to know the family, to get to know how they worked as a family, to get to know their schedule, and essentially mostly to take care of Callan. Occasionally, Cora and Dawson would be home and I would interact with them as well.
So going into it, you knew that you would sometimes be spending time with Cora and Dawson.
Yes.
But to your understanding, were they at the home all the time?
No, they were at school.
And other than caring for Callan, did you agree to take on some other responsibilities in the household?
I did.
And what were those responsibilities?
It was food prep, light housekeeping, laundry, things like that.
Was that something that you offered to do as part of your services, or were you asked to do it?
I offered initially. I said those were things I did as a nanny for previous families.
And what was your expected schedule going to be for the Clancys?
It was 3 days a week. I believe it was 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.
And was the 3 days a set schedule, or was the expectation that it might change?
Initially, it was set and then it changed.
As far as your original expectation, fair to say, you were originally asked to do Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Correct.
And then as you started working for them, you were asked to kind of adjust some of the days.
Yes.
And was that something that you could do?
If I could, I would.
And how about the time? You said from 8:30 to 1:30. Were the times flexible too?
Yes, sometimes it was 9 to 1:30. That was about the only difference.
Okay.
It was about a half hour.
And how would you communicate with Lindsay?
So we communicated via text a lot. Lindsay also had a notebook in her kitchen that we communicate. Oh, she would leave notes for me for the activities or the instructions for me for the day.
Okay. And you said the week of Labor Day, that was your first week with the Clancy family, right? And primarily during that week, did you care for Callan?
Yes, I did.
Did they come to call you something particular as far as like a nickname?
They called me Lainey.
And that was something the kids called you as well as Patrick and Lindsay?
Yes.
So,
The hair
I'm
is
going to just show
Fran
you
Drescher,
what's
not the
been marked as
outfit,
Exhibit 1.
but it's giving Fran Drescher.
If you want to just take a quick look inside of it. You can flip through the pages if
Okay.
that's helpful.
Okay.
Does the handwriting in that notebook look familiar to you?
It does.
And fair to say there's two different handwritings, right? Did you come to know one of the handwritings as Lindsay's handwriting?
I thought all of it was Lindsay's.
Okay, but as far as the second set of handwriting, do you recognize?
Oh, it's mine.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And so is this the notebook that you would kind of communicate with her back and forth about Callan and his schedule?
It is.
And fair to say she left you pretty detailed instructions
She did.
on his care.
Yes, she did.
And you were aware that she was very particular about sleep and food and keeping on a schedule, right?
Yes.
And so that's the purpose of this notebook.
Yes.
When you would come to the household in the morning, would you often interact with Lindsay prior to taking care of taking the baby?
Sometimes if she was there, I would interact with her. Some mornings she wasn't there.
If she wasn't there, was Patrick home?
Yes.
And did you know where she was when she wasn't there?
Sometimes she'd leave in the notebook that she was in the basement working out. Sometimes she'd drop the kids off to school.
And would you often see her throughout the day when you were there from your 9 to 1 shift?
Yes.
But there would be times when you would see her come back to the home?
Yes.
And in those times when she left, sometimes she had the other 2 children with her, correct?
Correct.
And sometimes she did not.
No.
At times, were you left with all 3 children?
I think on one occasion I was.
And would you get there before or after Cora and Dawson would be off to school usually?
Most times I would be pulling in the driveway and they would be waiting to say goodbye to me or hello to me.
And you're aware that they did not have school on Tuesdays, right? Were you aware?
I don't remember, sorry.
Okay. When you started working for the Clancy family, was there conversation with Lindsay about Callan not taking a bottle?
I don't remember that.
Did you often feed him a bottle when you were caring for him?
I did.
And do you recall at one point that you actually videoed Callan taking a bottle and sent it to Lindsay?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes.
And that would have been on September 9th, correct?
Yes.
At this point, Your Honor, I'd like to just play a short video.
Really, I object. I don't have a, let the jury see the video. Can I see?
So now her claims of him not taking a bottle, is that what this is? Was made up or something? What is this supposed to do? Lord, I'm just talking and it's on mute. I was saying that, Lord, I think it's one and the same that when he just starts talking, he is objecting.
Your Honor.
Oh. Oh,
Ms. Clancy, is
geez.
that the video that you took of Callan taking the bottle?
Yes, it was.
And fair to say you sent that video to Lindsay Clancy on September 9th of 2022.
Yes, I did.
At this point, I'd move to admit a copy of that clip as the next.
With no objection, that may be admitted.
In your care of the children, were you ever permitted to take them outside of the household, like to the park or the library or anything?
I took Callan for a walk on one occasion, and I took Cora and Dawson to a tumble fun gymnastics class.
Okay. And that would have been in October of 2022 that you took Cora and Dawson, correct? When you went to Tumble Fun, what is that?
It's a toddler, like, gymnastics place, indoor gymnastics place.
Did you only take Cora and Dawson, or did you also take Callan?
Just Cora and Dawson.
And why was it that you took them on this particular day?
Lindsay had mentioned to me that they had tumble fun, but they wouldn't be going because she couldn't drive.
Okay.
So I offered to take them.
Did she tell you why she couldn't drive at that time?
She didn't.
So you took them, did you drive her car or your own car?
I drove her car.
And you were able to bring them home, correct?
Correct.
Did you notice anything different when you came back to the home on that day?
I didn't.
During the course of the time in which you were at the Clancy's house, fair to say from September to early December is the time that you were there, 3 days a week?
Yes.
Did you come to find out that Lindsay was having some issues?
I did.
Did she talk to you about that?
She did.
And what did she tell you about her issues?
She shared with me that she was suffering from postpartum.
Now, when she shared this information with you, had you noticed anything different about her demeanor or her presentation around the house?
I didn't at all.
Had her trips out of the house when you were there stopped or decreased during that time period?
No.
And did she tell you that at that time that she was seeing some doctors?
She did.
What about medication? Did you have any conversations with her about her taking medication during that time period?
I think we talked about she was going to stop a medication because she was trying to stop nursing.
That she was going to stop medication or she was going to start medication?
I think she was trying to stop something because she was, sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
She was not going to nurse Callan anymore because she was going to be starting a new medication.
Did she ever give you any details about the medication?
She didn't.
Do you recall seeing prescription bottles around the house?
I did.
Did you ever learn from Lindsay that she had gone to the emergency room in November of 2022?
No.
How about gone to the emergency room in December of 2022?
No.
Did anything about your arrangements with coming on the 3 days, caring for Callan and sometimes Cora, did any of that ever change because of what she reported to you about having postpartum?
Only at the end of my time with them.
Okay, we'll get there in a second. But did you have the occasion to observe her interacting with the children?
I did.
And did you have any concerns about her interacting with the children?
None at all. She was a wonderful mom.
Did she have any further conversation with you about maybe more specific sleep or sleep issues that she had been having during the time period you were nannying for them?
She did.
And what did she tell you about that?
She told me she was having difficulty sleeping and that she was sleeping in the basement.
Now, when you would watch Callan and she would be in the basement, would you often see her in the basement?
No.
And one of the things you said that you sometimes did was do some laundry, right?
I did.
And where was the laundry in the Clancy house?
It was in the basement.
And so you'd have to go through that living room area down there where the couch was to get back to the laundry room.
Yes, it was in the back.
How about working out in the basement? Do you recall if you went down the basement stairs to the right that there'd be like a little area where there'd be weights and that kind of thing? Did you ever see her working out there?
I don't recall if I did.
As far as the medications, do you recall where you observed the medications in the house?
Yes, they were in to the right of the refrigerator, I believe in a cabinet.
And you had to go into the Clancy, Patrick and Lindsay's bedroom, right?
I did.
Fair to say Callan's crib was in there.
It was.
So do you recall ever seeing medications in the bedroom?
I didn't.
Now, you had mentioned that you knew Lindsay to be going back to work in November, correct? Were you advised, or did you know that she was originally scheduled to go back in October, but then bumped it back to November?
I didn't know that.
But as you began working for them, that November date was in mind, right?
Yes.
Moving to Thanksgiving of 2022, did something change about the plan for her to go back to work?
Yes, I came in, I think it was a few days after Thanksgiving, maybe the day after Thanksgiving, and Lindsay was in the kitchen, and I had expected her to be asleep.
Why was that?
Because I thought she was working that shift, that Thanksgiving shift. And she told me that she wouldn't be going back to work.
And was there any further conversation of what the plan was for you and the family during that time period?
No, I think I mentioned if she wasn't going back to work and that if they didn't need me, if they could let me know.
Okay. And so do you recall being at the home at one point where Patrick and Lindsay left the house and came back?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that interaction?
Of course. Patrick and Lindsay went for a walk, and when they returned, I was in the living room on the floor with Callan, and they came in and told me that they would have to let me go because Lindsay would not be going back to work, and the two of them would be home to care for the children.
Okay. And so did they give you anything else, any other information about why Lindsay wasn't going back to work during that meeting?
No.
Okay. And did they give you some time to kind of make other arrangements after that?
They did. I believe they gave me 2 weeks.
And during that time after Thanksgiving, did you have the occasion to see Lindsay interacting with the kids in the home?
I did.
And was anything about your observations of her different?
Nothing.
Now, the kids themselves, you had the occasion to spend some time with Cora. And how would you describe Cora?
Oh, Cora was a girly girl who loved her babies very much. She was very sweet, and she loved arts and crafts and loved playing with her Fresh Mart, which was a little children's supermarket. She was lovely.
And Dawson, how about him? How would you describe him?
Dawson was full of energy, rambunctious, funny, silly.
Did you ever have any problem watching Dawson or keeping him under control? Or
Not at all. I was only with him on a handful of occasions.
did you ever see Dawson kind of interacting with his siblings, with Cora or with Callan?
I did.
And did you see anything, or could you tell us a little bit about Dawson's interactions with them?
Cora and Dawson played well. There was one occasion in the kitchen where they were playing, and I think Cora took one of his Play-Doh, something, he was playing with Play-Doh, and his reaction, he was frustrated, and he reached out and slapped Callan.
Now, were you alone with the kids during this interaction, or was Lindsay present too?
Lindsay was, I think, in the kitchen at the same time.
Did you see her react to that when she saw that behavior?
She did.
And what was the reaction? What did she
She
do?
went over and removed Callan, she removed Dawson from the room, and came back and consoled Callan.
And eventually, did you see her go back and kind of talk to Dawson about his behavior and address it? Okay. And was that appropriate in your opinion?
Of course, yes.
How about how you would describe Callan? How would you describe him? You spent the most time with him, correct?
I did. He was the happiest, sweetest, easiest baby. He was just a love.
Thank you. If Lindsay had told you in one of these exchanges, and again, you exchanged mostly either in this notebook or via text, right?
Correct.
If she told you about working out, do you know if she wasn't in the basement where she would go to work out?
I think it was the Kingsbury Club.
And as far as when you stopped working for them, do you remember exactly when it was? You said maybe 2 weeks after
I think
Thanksgiving.
it was December 8th or December 10th.
And in the time that you were with the Clancys in their households, caring for their kids, interacting with Patrick and Lindsay, did you ever have any concerns that the children were not safe?
No.
Thank you.
All right, cross.
Come on. We know you ready.
Morning.
Good morning.
So you first met Lindsay and Patrick and the kids in, was it July of 22?
Yes.
And then you were hired, obviously, and you then took over as a nanny.
Yes,
You got a lot of years of experience as a nanny, don't you?
I do.
And this was that you wanted to kind of pick up some more hours, and that's why you fortunately reached out to the two of them and ended up taking care of those
Yes.
kids. So from July until, what was it, November after Thanksgiving, or was it early December that they had the walk, and then they came in and told you that she was going to
Early
be home?
December.
Early December. And you all left on good terms, right?
Oh, wonderful terms.
Yeah. I mean, you guys stayed in touch with each other. You texted them Christmas, things of that nature, right?
I did reach out to Lindsay to wish her a Merry Christmas.
Did she respond?
She did.
Would you agree that on March 1st of 2023, the state police interviewed you for about a half hour or longer about your observations of the Clancy family?
Yes.
Do you recall that the trooper, were there one or two of them, if you remember?
I believe there were two.
Yeah. Do you recall the trooper asking you questions about your observations of the Clancy family with particular focus on Lindsay? They were asking you about how well you knew her, what you thought of her, what she did as far as a mother in your presence.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you.
I apologize. They wanted to know what kind of a mother she was, right?
Yes,
And you were able to respond to that, right?
I did.
They also wanted to know any observations that you had about her use of prescription drugs, right?
Yes.
And you were forthcoming on that as well, right? They also wanted to know whether or not you observed or she made any statements about any symptomology or symptoms that she might have been having that were causing her difficulty, right?
Yes.
Do you recall indicating to the troopers that, in your opinion, that she was a loving and a doting mother?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what that means? I mean, what did you observe about what did you observe about her as a mother interacting with her kids?
I observed a wonderful mom who loved her kids, she was very concerned with their safety. She was very concerned with Callan's eating and sleeping. She was a wonderful mother.
And the district attorney asked you questions about what apparently is Exhibit 150 in this case. And that's the book that she would write notes to you on, and then you would on occasion write notes back to her. Is that right?
Yes.
So when the district attorney asked you to identify her writing, so like also there were like photographs like that in the book as well, right?
Mhm.
You know who would draw that? Would she draw that, or would you draw that?
I think I drew that.
You do that one?
Yeah, I think so.
And for example, Thursday, September 29th, it says Callan last fed the time, put him down for a nap at 9:35 with a smiley face. We will be home, clean the clothes in the dryer if you get to it. And then up Callan up at 10:45. And then some scribbly mark on the bottom. That's an indication of the type of notes that she would leave for you.
Correct.
Would she also leave notes for you to the effect of cutting up sweet potatoes and cutting up celery and things in 1-inch squares so that the kids to eat?
Yes, food prep, yes.
Did you find that to be overbearing or
Well, not at all.
you didn't find that to be controlling, that she was trying to exert control over you, did you?
Not at all.
Felt that was appropriate for her to tell
Her
you?
voice is giving Princess Diana, or maybe because I was just watching the crime.
Yes.
She also told you during that period of time that she was unable to sleep. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Told you that lack of sleep was becoming a significant impact on her life, and that she had to see doctors and was on medication for that, right?
Correct.
Again, the troopers were questioning you and directing you on your questions or your answers. And at one point, do you recall saying to the trooper, I loved my Lindsay?
I loved my Lindsay.
Yeah.
I don't recall saying that.
Okay, did you?
Do I love Lindsay?
Yeah.
I did love Lindsay, yes.
Now, when
I did love
when was she
Lindsay.
sleeping in the basement? Do you remember that?
Do I know when or why?
When was she
That
sleeping
was
in the
in
basement?
Dallas and Denver.
I honestly don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember if I suggest to you that it was around the end of November, mid-December, that she was sleeping in the basement for a period of time? If you remember.
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did she indicate to you why she was sleeping in the basement?
I don't think she did.
Would you agree that she was forthright with you as far as telling you what was going on in her life, as far as her concentration and her inability to sleep and things of that nature?
Yes.
Sustained.
Would she tell you about those problems that she was suffering?
She shared with me that she had postpartum and that she couldn't sleep.
And as a result of that, you were pretty concerned for her, weren't you?
Postpartum, but I would always ask her how she was feeling
Right.
or how she was doing.
And in fact, you noted that in addition to the inability to sleep, that she would speak about that she was unable to focus. Do you recall her ever saying she had difficulty focusing on things?
I don't recall her saying that to me.
How about Finn? Did you notice that she appeared to be losing significant weight?
I did, and I commented to her about that.
Okay. And you had occasion to see her as a mother playing with the children, obviously, right?
Yes.
Would the two of you stay in touch with each other by text even when she was out and you were home in their home with the kids?
Yes.
Fair to say that you would take many, many videos of the kids and send them to Lindsay on her phone, right?
I did.
And fair to say that during that period of time from your involvement, Ms. Rossi, as a nanny, that you sent her videos of the children playing, and as we saw the baby taking a bottle and the baby eating and things of that nature, right?
I did.
Did she ever send you any videos, or did she ever respond to your emails or videos?
Yes, she responded to most of my texts she responded to.
Did she seem to be appreciative of your work?
Yes, very much so.
And in fact, she was pretty vocal about that. She thought the world of you, right?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Redirect?
Just one question. In all that she told you about postpartum sleep and all that you observed in the house, did you ever have any conversations with her about intrusive thoughts or thoughts of harming yourself?
No.
Thank you.
Anything on that? No. All right, you may step down. Thank you. Thank you. Counsel, could I see you?
Now it's just now 9 a.m. I thought y'all was going to 10 a.m. my time, which is what, just now 12. You about to cut us off already, sir? Yeah, I think they're going to use, I mean, both sides are going to use this testimony because we know the defense is going to say, but for this psychosis, she was a wonderful mom and she wasn't just trying to get out of it, get away from it, shy away from it. It wasn't that it just wasn't going her way. She was a wonderful mom, and even the nanny said it. And then the state is probably going to use it and say the nanny was there with her, wasn't nothing wrong with her. All right. Yeah, today's a short day. He said they were only going to go from 9 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. Which Wednesdays are short days for me anyway, because y'all know that's early release out here in Arizona. Again. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Am I correct that Perez Hilton had something sharp? If anybody knows or is comfortable confirming, just a yes or no. I don't need the details. Thank you. My God. Nicole. Ooh. I knew it was on the live. I saw that, but
As I told you, we're not going to sit this afternoon. We're going to break So I'm going to ask you to come back
Knew
tomorrow
it.
at 9 o'clock. Remember those instructions. Don't talk about this. Don't do any research about this. Don't listen about anything. Don't talk about it with anyone. And I'm going to ask you to come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we'll start with the testimony tomorrow. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.
Court, all right. Good. Please close the notebooks, please among your chairs. This way.
All right, Counsel, anything else we need to talk
No,
about
thank you.
before tomorrow morning? All
He
right.
said, no, thank you, so good.
Case will be in recess till tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
With no we're not coming, there's nothing scheduled at 2 o'clock in this matter any further, okay? So this court on this case will be in recess till tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Well, damn. All right, guys. I thought that it was going to be something between him and counsel this afternoon, but I guess not. Again, whatever we thought we were getting ready to handle outside the presence of the jury is not happening today. He trying to make it be 6 weeks. Might take 8 weeks with this schedule. Yeah, really wasn't ready for it. All right, guys. So instead of lunch today, as we knew it would be a short day, but it looks like 12 was the answer and not 1 like we thought. Bocampo. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. We will get this recapped as best we can a little later. Everybody have a great one. Woosah, have some fun. We don't have to come back and reconsume this today, so take advantage of that, and I'll see everybody in the morning. Have a good one.